And that's what I really say to anybody, or even my sons. Do something that you see yourself doing in 30, 40 years' time. We need to cut out the jealousy, the ego, and build our communities. Remember the challenges we have in this world. We need to, support each other and build each other up. It doesn't matter what spaces your son or daughter is trying to get into. When you have passion in something, then you can fit anything in. And that's what kind of drives me when, seeing young talent, you're giving them space, giving them the opportunity. It is about helping each other. New young blood is about helping each other, and never been in that space where, why don't I help someone? I've always been that type of person. Wherever I can, in my capacity, what I can do, I will help. I want to go now using my experience to be able to use it in spaces where I want to make a difference. And hopefully the places that I am involved in is making a difference. How big or small you may feel it is. And that's the difference I want to make.
Guys, I'm Harinder Malay. Welcome back to my podcast. I've got an even amazing guest today. He's worked with some of the biggest brands today communicate their stories. But his journey took a slight turn during lockdown where he started working with his sons to become entrepreneurs. And we're going to share that story today. So without further ado, Tandy Virdee, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you, Harinder, for inviting me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time out because I know you're a busy father and a brand specialist who works with some amazing big brands, and you're doing so much, which we're going to dive into shortly.
Yeah, we will.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Just, busy life and with kids and family. But no, I really appreciate you inviting me,
I had to. When I saw your accolades and when we spoke over the phone as well, I was like, as a father myself, like, you're such a great role model for your own kids and other fathers out there. And I was like, this is the kind of process I wanted to go through of speaking to normal, average people who've done amazing work, who probably haven't been online and shouting about it too much, but who need to, I feel, should have a space and a voice to share their kind of experiences. Yeah. And that's kind of the idea of the podcast. So amazing. We're going to go through some really cool stuff that you've done today. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to sharing, my journey and everything that we were going to plan to talk about.
So before we do go through all of the cool branding stuff and the two amazing brands you've built with your sons, I want to know a little bit more about young Tandy.
I grew up, obviously in the 70s, 80s, and the industry I've been in, it was something that I always wanted to go into. I chose art when I was at school, O-level and A-level art. And, at 16, I said to my parents, I want to go into doing art. And they would say, what, are you just going to be drawing? And I said, no, it's art, right? And I was very creative, at that age. And they didn't really understand what I wanted to do as a career. And nor did kind of probably the rest of my family. But, the beauty of that journey is that they stood by me for 36 years to this day in an industry which is an unknown industry. Back in the 90s when I went to art college, I spent 5 years at art college. I did my degree in graphic design, and I ended up specializing in graphic design in the end, after my degree. And I think obviously being of South Asian heritage, brown face, working in an industry which was, an unknown, you would probably expect to go into, accountancy, law, but
typical,
the industries you would probably expect. But I was quite determined to follow what I was good at, and that's what I've been doing. 36 years on, and to this day, I enjoy what I do, and that's what I really say to anybody, or even my sons. Do something that you will see yourself doing in 30, 40 years' time.
That's amazing, because when I told my dad I wanted to do art, he was like, what are you going to do with art?
Yeah, there you go.
And that kind of I felt that. Yeah. And I was like, you don't realize how maybe creative I am, and how many kind of, what kind of work I've done. I did graphics and I did art at A-level.
There you go.
So not only at GCSE, at A-level. So I felt like, oh man, I didn't get to pursue that dream. And I'm so glad that you did, because how did you challenge your parents on, you said you're determined, which is great, but how did you challenge your parents on actually continue continuing that dream?
I don't think there was any challenges. I think they just let me do what I wanted to do. You know, thinking back, and that's a really good question. I've never been asked that. But I don't think there was at any point where they said to me, I don't think you should go and do what you're doing.
That's nice to have actually, because like obviously there's a lot of kids out there who might have already gone, probably more our sort of generations that went through that during that time.
Yeah.
Because parents probably just didn't know any different,
Exactly,
right? They just thought, okay, stable income, you know, stable job, look after your family eventually when you grow up.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing. So I think it's great that you managed to, your parents were firstly supportive.
Yeah.
And then secondly, you continued your sort of dream of creativity.
Yeah.
What then did you decide to do? Because you did art and graphic design. And how did it sort of then come about into branding?
So I graduated in graphic design in the early 90s, and I started working in a sports sponsorship marketing agency, which was my first job.
Wow.
And in fact, prior to that, I traveled the whole of US, and I came back and then, you know, I think the pressure was on then, you know, having taken a career which was in the unknown and then coming out of art college, then the pressure was on to find a job, right?
Yeah.
So then I thought, I worked free for nearly 6 months for a design agency through a relative who had a design agency back in Tooting. So I used to travel, nearly every day for 6 months, learning the craft. And I think the Apple Mac had just come into play then.
Yeah.
So, coming out of art college, not having any computer skills, I had to learn computer skills quite quickly. And then after 6 months, once I knew how to use a Mac, my first job was, working for a sports sponsorship company for five years, working with an amazing creative director who I still have contact to this day. And he's in his late 70s now. He taught me from being a junior designer all the way up to a senior creative, working with amazing brands, ICA, NEC. There's some amazing brands I was able to work with in terms of, at that time it was mainly print. So, I would do logo design, brochure design, billboard design. And that really set me up. I was really lucky for him to be a mentor and kind of him being the way he was in terms of, coming up with great, really creative ideas. And I still think about that being, the real great foundation I had.
That's so powerful, because I feel so envious, because that's like the route I wanted to take. I'm wow, I wish I got to do this. Like print is underestimated, although we're in a lot of the online space now, but there's a beauty to print, isn't there?
Yeah, there's
sort of the negative space in design and having a clean look. How was it sort of working with this agency
typical day, one day I'll be, at NEC Harlequins. We had a brand sponsorship deal with NEC where we would, and then we'll do the whole stadium. The partnership was with Harlequins, the rugby club, and NEC. We would do all the design, the graphics for the stadium. And I think at that time, one of the biggest rugby stars there was, Will Carlin was one of their big stars there. And I look back at that work now and I think, wow, I was at in a stadium where I did all the design work, billboard advertising, bus advertising, taxi advertising, which was the partnership between NEC and Harlequins. And when you see that work come to life, you've actually achieved something.
Achievement, isn't it? It's something else, isn't it?
And you're walking along and you're going to the stadium and you're thinking, all that signs and billboard signs that have been done, that was actually my work. Yeah. Actually, funny enough, I showed my sons that work recently. I had a load of photographs and I said, this is what I did back in the 90s. Yeah, it's so nice thinking back on, my career. And I've never really spoken about my career, to be honest, and I've never really had to. And I always enjoy what I do. And my work, it's about doing the work rather than talking about it, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's it's a visual thing, isn't it? So you want to see the result.
Exactly.
And that's the satisfaction in it, isn't it? And so you was working for free for 6 months during this period.
Yeah.
So where you did work for free for 6 months at the start, would you recommend this current generation doing the same if they wanted to get into branding and marketing or working with a big agency?
I think 100% to build your experience. And this is where, I do get friends over the years who had sons or daughters who have now at that age, 18, 21, who've reached out to me and said, Tandy, You know, you're in that creative space. What advice would you give? And over the years, there's been friends who have actually come along and said, you know, my daughter, my son are moving into this creative space now. We don't know anybody. And it's quite lovely to just give that, see, you know, more brown faces going into that space, you know, and it's always lovely to give advice.
And
know?
on that topic, actually, I wanted to ask you, so you're in the 90s.
Yeah.
And you're going to South London, working for an agency for free. How did you feel as being a British-born Punjabi in that sort of space?
You know, I didn't really think about it. Looking back, I didn't really think about me being Punjabi in a space which is non-Punjabi, if you know what I mean, right? But now looking back, I think, you know what? Wow. You know, I was the only person at art college. You know, I went to Kent.
Wow.
And I made some amazing friends. Again, still to this day, I speak to them, you know, after, you know, 35, 40 years later. But, you know, I look back and I think, you know what, it must have been an interesting journey to think, you know, you're the only one who, you know, of color, you know, being Punjabi, at an art college. And then, you know, from there, there's been more. My sister went to art college. She went to Chelsea School of Art.
You opened the doors up then.
Yeah. So, you know, hopefully, you know, I see a lot more now.
There's a big change now in the
There's
last
been
sort of 20,
you know,
10,
amazing
20
change.
years.
And like friends even, some friends approach me and say my daughter's going into graphic design or going into marketing, advertising. And it's great to see.
Where you've worked with like some of the biggest brands like Adidas and like Unilever, Microsoft, how did you ever feel like you didn't belong in the sort of boardroom when you were like...
Never had that feeling.
And why? What do you think that was like?
Because everybody was the same. We all wanted to win. We all wanted to create great work. And we all wanted to win awards, you know, and it was teamwork, right? People say when you're working for someone, it's all about teamwork, makes the dream work. Yeah. You know, it was about teamwork. It didn't matter who you are, as long as you know, believed in, you know, what you're capable of doing and having the right people around you and championing each other.
Would you say it's more like your talent should speak? Your
talent speaks, your work speaks. And if you all got the same goal to create great work, you know, work with great strategists over the years, great creatives, developers, now obviously going into the online space. That's been an interesting space as well, you know, for the last 20 odd years.
Is it as creative as it looks? Like, you know, when you're in the sort of like doing all this stuff, because sometimes you see behind the scenes, it's like, oh, it's just like, you know, work, and the kind of creativity gets lost because you've got a specific brief to follow. Did you find that sometimes you weren't able to be as creative as you wanted?
Yeah, it really depends on individual clients, right? You know, everybody wants creative work, but a lot of the creative work is led by the budgets as well, right? Depending on how big the budget is, how big the campaign is it a global campaign or UK-based campaign? But, you know, you're trained to be as creative as possible in the work you do. So, and I love being creative, you know, and I've always enjoyed being in that space. And obviously now being on the other side of it and kind of managing the creative side of the work with a lot of the teams that I work with, you know, I'm still in that space, which I enjoy.
So you don't sort of do as many designs and stuff?
Yeah, I'm not hands-on. Yeah, but I sometimes do some hands-on, but a lot of it is kind of overseeing global campaigns, you know, UK campaigns. It depends on the client.
Are you able to talk about some of the sort of campaigns you've been working on? And
campaigns working on, I've worked with on Adidas campaigns on football, Premiership. I've worked with World Remit for a recent campaign a few years back. Worked with Tommy Hilfiger for a new fragrance that was launched during COVID. We did a Facebook Live performance. So yeah, there's been, you know, Lady Leisure for Diageo for a responsible drinking campaign that I did a few years ago, which ended up winning quite a few awards as well. So yeah, there's been so many highlights that I can just cherry pick which ones, and I can tell a probably story on each one.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're managing, firstly, congratulations on all the amazing awards you've won. Like, you've won some serious awards, and you're managing like campaigns for like Diageo, like you said, Adidas, Tommy Hilfiger, and you're not just, these are global campaigns. It's not just like small little campaign in like Liverpool Street Station or something. Yeah. This is like global. Like, how do you ever feel like, wow, like pinch yourself, like I'm doing all this?
I've only started thinking about it recently, last year or so, in terms of the amount of projects and that I've worked on. over the years. Before, I never used to really think about it. And it's only now, as my sons have got older, I'm trying to share a lot with them in terms of my kind of what I've done throughout my career. Because, you know, when I was growing up, my dad worked, my mum worked, and I really, you know, for them to give us what they've given us now, it's because of them, right? I knew what my dad did. You know, he worked for Ford for 35 years, but I really didn't have that relationship to talk about what I've been doing on a day-to-day. Like now, my sons say, what did you do today? How many meetings did you have today? You know, what are you working on? And that was kind of the same kind of conversations we were having during COVID.
Yeah.
Where, you know, their brand came up. You know, what are you working on today, Dad? I'm working on this. Oh, right. What are you doing? So they become very interested on my day-to-day. Obviously, being at home, that sort of helped. But that's kind of stemmed, you know, from really then onwards to do what we've been doing for the last, you know, 4 or 5 years.
We're going to touch on that in a sec, but I just wanted to ask you here, your dad was working long hours and stuff.
Yeah,
and
you know, night shifts, afternoon shifts, days. So, you know, now, you know, my sons, you know, they're lucky that I'm around. My wife is around to take them to football, you know, swimming and all the activities that happen, you know, being a father yourself. You know, I like to spend as much time with them and be around them, because childhood is the best years, I say, being around your kids, right? And then
absolutely,
sooner or later, 18, they want to do their own things, travel the world, got their jobs, and, you know, other things come into play.
But how did it make you feel like when you, because like it was, I think as growing up as well, like I felt like, you know, parents were working, probably didn't have as much attention from them as maybe we would have liked. And maybe the interest was probably lacking because they might have not known about all these creative topics and you know, other than the standard subjects.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you sort of were going through that upbringing of like, dad's always at work, I got these cool projects I want to talk to my dad about, like...
Yeah, I don't know. I never really thought about it like that. You know, I just do my stuff, and the work is there as to show that what I've been doing. And I don't know, I've not really thought about it like that throughout my career. You know, they were busy working, and again, you know, it's only because of them that we're here. Like me and you are talking, and we've been able to do what we've been able to do in our careers. But yeah, I wish I did share a lot more with him, I think. You know, now, especially now looking back with obviously his passing a few years back, I would have loved to have shared a lot more of what I've, you know, probably done throughout my career.
Yeah, and I think he would be like, I'm sorry to hear that first of all, your dad passing, and from what you've done, just from me listening to it, I'm sure he would have been super proud, like for sure, like especially with like his grandsons, like winning awards, which you're going to talk about now. So talk to me about how we've gone from like these amazing big brands managing big, massive global campaigns. We're talking millions of people these campaigns are reaching. Yeah. To then wanting to like start helping and building your sons up.
I think, Rocket Sonic. It's been an interesting journey. You know, during, you know, COVID, sons would say, Dad, what are you doing? What are you working on? And funny enough, I was working on the Tommy Hilfiger
at
campaign.
The time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking. I thought, you're at home, COVID. My wife, very academic. She's got 2 degrees. She would do maths and English. And then obviously I would do the art subject, and they would say, oh, we're doing the fun this afternoon. Yeah. So I thought, you know, it'd be interesting to give them a project, because I felt that when I grew up, I wasn't a confident child. And I thought, I want my kids to be as confident now so they don't struggle when they're older. Yeah. You know, and I thought, you know, the best way to do that is probably give them a project the way I would probably take on a project or work on a brief, and kind of teach them what I've learned or what I've kind of, my career, you know, in terms of what I do as a living. And then I would say, okay, look, we're going to do a little homeschooling project, which you can just come up with a logo, which that's obviously what I used to do, you know, and then from that logo, I'll help you slowly, organically, you will just learn the journey of how you build, you know, a little brand, right? It is just like a little brand for them, right? And that drawing of my son, he did a rocket. And funny enough, a year before, we actually went to a NASA to see a rocket launch. And from there, he's always been into rockets and stuff and Lego and building rockets. And he said, Dad, I'm going to call it Rocket Sonic. So they would present ideas to me. You know, this is one idea. This is one idea. I say, well, when you present, you need to present, come up in front of me and present. So I'll teach those little things that I would learn, right?
Yeah.
So they would do that to me. And then I said, you know what, Rocket Sonic sounds good. And then he'll do a little drawing of it, which is, funny enough, it's on their Instagram of his little drawing. And then from there, I think the local press picked it up, you know, father and son, teaching them how to build a brand. And then it's just kind of slowly, and working in that space, it's easier for kind of navigate through, you know, PR and stuff.
Yeah.
And then BBC London picked up the story, and then slowly the story started growing, and about the journey between three of us, which was the most important thing to this day to me. It's not about, you know, selling millions of hoodies, you know. It's about the journey with three of us doing something and them actually seeing that journey.
Yeah.
You know, from something which was a little pencil drawing to now, you know. Funny, I actually asked my son a few weeks ago. I said, how do you tell me your experience from when you said, I said to you, you're going to come up with your little brand. He goes, I think it was just for fun.
Yeah.
Right? He did say a specific word, but I can't remember it now. He goes, we were just doing it for fun. I said, but that fun, you've learned so much from that fun, and you've been to places where, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds wouldn't even been in these spaces at, you know, award ceremonies, you know, where you're picking up an award and you'll be with people who are adults who have, like, you know, councillors and, you know, part of MPs, and, you know, you're in those spaces where, you know, two young 12, 13-year-olds are picking up an award. And that's the confidence I want to give them. I want them to have the confidence to be in those spaces. So when they grow up, 17, 18, 19, 21, when they have to, you know, build other things or work for, you know, companies, they've already got that within them. And the most important thing is they've got a story to tell.
And how did that make you feel as part of your story, seeing like that small little pencil drawing as an idea flourish into like this whole sort of brand presentation that you've done to win an award or win awards? They're not just won one award, they've won quite a few awards. How did that make you feel as a dad?
I felt proud. Proud that we've done it together. That's the most important thing, that we've actually, three of us, has just sat down. Let's get a picture of us, you know, let's create this brand. Let's, you know, and they've just seen that growth of that journey. And it's been an organic growth. You know, we've been just doing it as we've been going along. You know, they've modeled their brand as well, which is even more exciting for them as well when you actually see their brand on them.
Yeah, because so for those who don't know, so Rocket Sonic, as Tandy mentioned, is an amazing little brand that his two twin sons set up and are now selling like hoodies, you're selling like hats, you're selling so many cool merchandise.
So they've done a pop-up recently as well, 2-day event, which I think we're going to do a lot more of. And they're getting the experience of doing their own pop-ups now.
At 13 years old?
At 13. Funny enough, they did a 2-day one, which was recently a gorgeous event where they literally run their own pop-up show for 2 days, full on 2 days. 1 day is enough, or 5 hours is enough, but they said, Dad, we're all right. We're going to run the show, 2-day show, right? And yeah, they were running it, and, you know, they made some pocket money for themselves, which, you know, helps them build what they want to do next and stuff.
So have you set up as a proper business, as in like a limited company?
Yeah. So,
wow.
So, you know, that will hopefully help them come up with some other ideas as well going forward, and then slowly, organically just grow what they already have. And I think it's really just giving them the opportunity, you know, which I'm sure, you know, a lot of people didn't have. You know,
I think it's amazing. Like, guys, like fathers out there, even mothers, like, what a great idea. So this is 4 years ago, right? COVID.
Yeah.
And so they would have been what, like sort of 8, 9 years old?
They were 8, yeah, they were 8.
And so at 8, 9 years old, you've got them setting up a project, building a brand, and then going out and selling them goods and presenting themselves and winning an award. Loads of awards.
Yeah, and the school kind of really supportive as well. And, you know, some of the awards that they won, you know, obviously has to be validated by the school in terms of their achievements. And they've been very supportive. And you know, and they've done some really amazing stuff this year, and we've got some really, you know, great stuff happening next year, which hopefully we can continue, you know, and they can just continue.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's been happening this year?
Oh, what have we done? We did a shoot. They did their first shoot, Rocket Sonic shoot. We had amazing young talent through our other initiative, other New Young Blood,
Which we're going to come on to in a moment, guys.
And yeah, we just spent the afternoon shooting a load of content, a load of photography. I did the art direction, I did the photography for it. And we just brought, you know, some of the talent who are actors, actresses, footballers, young entrepreneur, and we did a shoot, you know, of their brand.
You got like a little studio at home?
No, it's actually a dear friend of ours who's part of New Young Blood. It was her kind of studio space. It was kind of both. It was location based, and it was a studio within the place where she lives. And yeah, it was a great day. It was a great day coming together. You know, we see people online, you know, young kids doing great, whatever they're in. But it was great. Just come for the day, did a shoot. We ate, chatted, had fun.
So how did Young Blood begin? So you've got Rocket Sonic already. So this is like during lockdown. And then, so how did Young Blood begin specifically?
New Young Blood came about from the extension of Rocket Sonic. You know, for the last 5-6 years, I've seen a lot of young, amazing talent followed their journeys, whether it's acting, whether it's in sport, whether it's music, whether it's business, or even arts. And I thought that there must be a space where we can celebrate all this. There's got to be a space. We have a lot of space where we celebrate awards for, you know, media, whether it's business, for over 18s, right? But I thought there's got to be a space where we can celebrate young talent. And I couldn't find anywhere. I just felt that, you know, we're missing a trick of not celebrating young talent who have, you know, they have bigger dreams. My sons have bigger dreams than what I had when I was growing up, right?
Yeah.
So I thought there's got to be a space where we can celebrate young talent, doesn't matter what space they're in, and showcase it and support them and give them the platform to say, you know what, I want to become the next footballer playing for a Premiership football club. But it's all about visibility, isn't it? The young talent nowadays need visibility. And this is where they struggle. You know, they're going through a journey of becoming, and I'm going to give an example of a footballer, right? Because my sons play football. You know, from 5, 6, 7 years old, I want to become a footballer. I want to become a footballer, right? And when they're not getting the opportunities, that dream dies very quickly.
Yeah.
At 8, 9, 10,
nurtured,
11, 12, they don't get the support. And then they think, you know what, I had a dream to become a footballer, but it never happened. I didn't really get that much support. Doors weren't open for me. You know, there's so many things I can say. And, you know, we do talk about representation really matters, but we need to give back. And this is what I thought, you know, we all have experiences. And I thought, you know what, this is something what I want to do, to give back and create a platform where we can celebrate. So New Young Blood came out of that. We've got an amazing young talent on there from cricket, music, football, actors, actresses, business, young entrepreneurs. And we're just celebrating their journeys. And hopefully we can support them and help them and open doors for them.
So what is it specifically in terms of a platform? Is it more of an online space, like a website or a social media page? What kind of specifically is it, and how can people get involved? It's an online space. We have a website, and we just basically showcase the talent. And then what we do, we also then follow that journey, and we celebrate all the other milestones they may have, you know, throughout, you know, whatever they're in. It's not just about showcasing, you know, I'm X, I've done this. What I'm trying to build is a profile for them, right? And give them the outlet to show that, you know, if you're an amazing young boxer who's won 5 awards, you know, we want to follow that journey and give them the visibility and shout out about it, right? Wow.
We've got to shout a lot more about our young talent who are doing incredible stuff.
Yes, definitely. And I feel like we were talking about this earlier, is that as a community, maybe a British Punjabi community specifically that we're talking about, and probably reaches out to the wider communities, is that we don't really celebrate our talents.
No.
We end up getting more probably judged on what we do or what we haven't done. And I mean, we talked about this a little bit on my first podcast with Madhu, and about like superstition and jadoo and this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you start telling people, then, you know, they're going to do something. And so like, what do you think we can do now to help? And I think you're already doing great work. So congratulations on you, Young Blood and Rocket Sonic. By the way, guys, follow Tandy and his projects, amazing projects, and 2 lovely sons who are doing this great work out there. So we're going to put the links in the bios, in the description below. So do follow them. But what do you feel we can do better as a community to help showcase our work and
support the talent? Support, open doors for them. If you've seen, you know, if there's a young actress or an actor, let's open doors for them. Let's make some connections with them. Let's give them opportunities. That's what the platform is about. It's about visibility, giving them opportunities, support them, mentor them, guide them. And I feel that we need to do a lot more of that. If I can do it, there's so many other people who can do it, who are in those spaces, in acting, in sports, music, you know, and that representation will really matter then, right? You'll get a lot more coming through if you want to push, you know, into mainstream football, cricket, boxing. Then you'll see a lot more of that, I feel. And I feel that, you know, that's where we struggle to do a lot more of. That's my personal opinion. You know, we're supporting an amazing young boxer. Last year, she won gold at the Amateur Boxing Association in Sweden. She's been in a Lewis Hamilton documentary in the summer. Yeah,
that's amazing.
What else has she done? She's already picked up 2 awards as Young Champion of the Year. And then last year, connected with a sportswear brand. And I said, you know, we need to support this talent, give them visibility. And, you know, we've created our own brand for her.
Wow.
She sells her own brand now. And her ambition is to fight in the LA Olympics in 2028. You know, and, you know, she wants to be the only, you know, South Asian Pakistani boxer world champion. So why can't we all support her and help her?
Yeah, I love that. I love that how it's not just about the Punjabi community specifically. It's like just any like minorities that are going through some struggle or just need a bit of a platform, bit of a hand, bit of support to showcase their talent. It's great because it's Dian Singh as well.
Oh, Dian Singh.
That was amazing, man. He's going to be like the next Formula One champion, like British champion. Like
exactly. You know, we shared his journey actually last year. And my boys did we went to championships last May actually. Was it last May or previous May, actually, a few years back. And so we followed that journey. And my boys did a little mini shoot with him while he was racing. And, you know, let's support them. Let's see their journey. Let's push them to the top.
And this is so cool because it's like, it sounds so fun for one.
Yeah.
And 2, like, the cool kids do this sort of stuff. Not like you're not cool if you do the bad stuff because a lot you're at such an impressionable age in your teens as a male or female, doesn't matter. And it's like you can easily be led down the wrong path.
Correct.
And I think with dads like you as an example, to do cool stuff like building brands, working with other cool kids who are talented, like that's amazing. Like, why are we not doing more of that?
I know. I think just going back, you know, it's just not me who can do it. There's loads of people can open doors and do these type of things, right, and give back to a young actress. We've got two amazing young actresses. Saira just won Future Star of the Award 2 weeks ago. She's already done a few Bollywood movies and she's got one releasing in 2026. We've got Gia, another amazing young actress who won an award earlier this year and it was Best Child Actress. And she's featured in DIRA with Paminda Nagra, you know, and we actually went to the awards to support her, you know, and I can rattle off loads of names. We've got Rohan, you know, an amazing young cricketer. I can just rattle off these names and they're there. They are there. It's black and white. You can see it on the platform.
And so like, why do you think we're not supporting kids or other people or families even? Like you could be like one, like your own family might not know what you're doing. Like you said, when you did your graphics, and also like you know, if they do find out, they might not support you. Like,
Yeah, I think that's probably the main issue, right? You know, with social media, it's, you know, it's funny that I work in social media and people say, you've got a lot of content on there and you must take it. But I work in that space. You know, I work on the reporting side of things. I know who's seeing stuff. I know who's looking at stuff. You know, all that stuff is all part of my work, you know, and it's, some people just don't want to support that, right? And see somebody doing well. That's probably the challenge we have, especially in social media now, because it's more visible, right?
So do you think there's sort of jealousy amongst the
That
community?
could come into play, 100%. You know, we need to cut out the jealousy, the ego, and build our communities. You know, with the challenges we have in this world, we need to, you know, support each other and build each other up. Yeah, and it doesn't matter what spaces your son or daughter is trying to get into.
How do you think someone like could do that? So let's just say there's fathers and mothers watching out there with, like, you know, young children or teenagers. How can they support them, and how can they sort of build them up and do what you're doing, really? Like,
I think it's just coming together, right? It's coming together. You know, this year we've done quite a few events where we just brought young talent together, and it was a beautiful experience. My boys obviously quite involved on New Young Blood as well now. They run their own Instagram lives with an amazing co-host.
they do themselves.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So when we set up New Young Blood, one thing that was missing as well, I thought, you know, we've got so many amazing role models in our community. And I said to my sons, I said, you know, who would you say is a role model for you? You know, apart from your mum and dad and, you know, your grandparents and stuff. You know, who do you see? You know, you follow football. Oh, Ronaldo. I said, but that's not within our community.
Accessible, was it?
Yeah, you know, and I thought, you know, we've got so many amazing people who've done amazing stuff in, you know, sports, music, you know, whatever you want to say. But I just felt that was quite disheartening to hear that. So I said, you know, let's try something. And we set up a role model series on Instagram Live, which is much more accessible because being young from a logistical point of view. So, you know, we've had some amazing people come on. We've had Manisha Taylor, MBE. We've had Shazad Nawaz, MBE. We've had Rita Mora, amazing singer. We've had Apache Indian. We've had Saj Raja, amazing actor. We've had some incredible guests coming on who want to support, want to give us their time, where my boys and Syra have interviewed them for 30 minutes, learnt about their journeys. They've learnt about who they are. They've learnt about, you know, there are people within our community who have opened doors in their individual spaces.
Yeah.
And it's been a great experience for them.
It sounds amazing. Listening to
Right.
this, I'm like, I don't even ask you any questions because
Right.
I'm like, hearing this sounds so like healthy and successful and fulfilling, like kind of what our kids should be going through and leading like successful lives going forward,
Yeah.
right? Like if they don't want to, that's fine, but there is this space available.
There is a space, you know. Now they're running the Instagram lives, and the amazing Simi, who's part of the New Young Blood senior team, who runs all the scripts. She does all the scripts before the guests come. We share the script with the guests. The boys read the script. Syra, they jump on the Instagram live. They do and yeah, it's an amazing experience for them. It builds confidence, right?
Yeah.
Again, you know, it's not about you, you know, it's using the social space in a positive light, not to get your face out there, just to make yourself, whatever you want to say, makes yourself famous, right? It's about giving them the confidence to talk to people and learn who they are. Now they know who these individuals are. And when they say, oh, you know, when I say, oh, you know, certain individuals have been on on the Instagram live, they actually know who they are now.
That's cool. It's like having the confidence without the ego.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like doing it's like taking action, because a lot of people become lazy or become like procrastinate. They're not necessarily lazy. They probably procrastinate because they overthink and they're not taking action.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think a way to get out of your head is to just do something.
Yeah.
Just like get online if you have to. Maybe can people reach out to you, Tandy, if they've got some questions or parenting advice in terms of, or even young kids who want to come on the platform? Is that
the more, you know, we always get people asking, always getting great messages. We had some amazing messages from, you know, parents, even people from industry. You know, it's a great space to share this amazing talent because, like I say, they don't get the visibility. They don't know that young talent wants to become a footballer and he's a very good footballer, but nobody sees that, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people see that when they're at 20, 21, but they don't see the journey of that person inspiring to become like,
that's all the groundwork, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's where we need to support a lot more. Even a lot of the awards that happen, that's where we need to support from grassroots. Yeah. And I think that's where we're missing a trick as well.
Foundation.
So, yeah, so this year, actually, we did New Young Blood, an official launch.
Okay.
With Lloyd's Banking Group. Massive shout out to Rax.
It's a non-profit then, so
yeah,
business.
you know, and a real, you know, massive shout out to Rax for making it happen. You know, speaking to him about the idea beginning of the year, and he said, "Look, I'd love to support it. It's a great idea. Nothing's out there in that space, and you know, and he made it happen. If I'm going to be truly honest, he made it happen. There was it was just one conversation, and he said, "Look, I'm going to make it happen." And we had a beautiful venue in London, you know, just off of Oxford Street at the Halifax headquarters. Yeah, and we had some amazing guests there. You know, we had, you know, we didn't have the space to take all the talent. I think there's about 55, 60 talent on New Young Blood at the moment that we're sharing. You know, we had 20 amazing young talent, and my sons and Syra and Sheba actually hosted the event. We gave them the opportunity to host their own event, celebrating 20 amazing young talent who came on stage one at a time, shared their journey. I'm an actress, I'm a footballer, about their journey. This is who I am. Again, you're building confidence to come on stage in front of 120 people.
Yeah.
Right? From different age groups, you know, from kids to adults, right?
So important.
Being on stage. And there was some amazing talent there who I looked at and I said, great at what you do, and you're even greater of how you've presented yourself.
Yeah.
And they were brilliant. You know, they presented themselves, and we had some amazing guests as well. We had Apache Indian as our role model guest. We had Bimi Rai, MBE, and Satwinder Semi was an amazing award-winning calligrapher. And he's a very dear friend of mine that I've known for many years. And, you know, being in that art space, I wanted to also share his journey, and they shared their journey. Amazing afternoon celebrating.
Sounds great. Fantastic. And like you're doing all this, you're setting all this up. You've got this kind of father and son business sort of partnership. Like, how do you navigate the space? Because obviously you're their dad, but you're almost like their kind of business partner as well. Like, how do you navigate?
Yeah, I think now as they're growing, and now obviously being teenagers, they've got their own ideas. And they say, Dad, I think we should do this. We should do this. So we have to compromise a lot more now. Before it was like, you know, Dad, let's do this. And I'll say, you know, yeah, let's do this. And some ideas, and they're beginning to create some content now because they enjoy, you know, using video editing software and stuff like that. And he'll always show me, Dad, what do you think of this piece of content and stuff? Because they see me, you know, I still do some content. But you know they like that space, and they obviously with AI now, it's a different ball game as well, right?
How do you keep them safe in that sort of space though as well? Where it's obviously online, you got AI and stuff like that. How do you?
Yeah, so all their accounts I manage, so they don't really have any social media account that is access to them.
Okay.
So
they just kind of do the back end work.
Yeah, they you know, sometimes they don't even know what's, you know, they've done so much stuff, they don't even know what some of the stuff has been shared. But, you know, a lot of that stuff I try to monitor, and you know, it is something quite important, that space to kind of monitor, and
definitely.
And they don't really have access to that. And
amazing. I think what's harder, raising kids or raising a brand? Because you've worked with big brands and you've got two amazing boys who do this.
Harder the boys.
Harder the boys.
Yeah. They got, and now, you know, with their own ideas and own opinions, and sometimes they say, you know, now, you know, funny you should say that. Like the summer's been, you know, it's been really busy for them. They obviously we did the launch event, and then they were playing football at the Seeker Games. And then we did another event, which we're doing a series of events. We did a Lord's cricket ground where we took some amazing young cricketers. And one of our New Young Blood ambassadors, Rohan, is an amazing young cricketer. He actually hosted the event. So his dad said, look, let's do a cricket event. Let's do it at where else possible can you do it?
Yeah.
at the home of cricket, Lords.
Yeah, Lords. Yeah.
Let's celebrate young, amazing cricketers who are in academies. So we took 10 there, and they had a cricketing session in the nets for about an hour. And then a dear friend of mine, and we had two people within the industry, a dear friend of mine as well, Kamal, and Sai, who was the first US under-19 representing America in cricket. She came down and spoke about her journey. Wow. And we just celebrated at Lords. Some of these young kids who are at academies, 10, 11-year-olds, have never even been to Lords. Yeah. And they were like, wow, we're at Lords. So why, again, I'm not the only one who can do these things. Loads of people can do it. But yeah, we had an amazing afternoon.
How do you manage your day? Like, I thought it's like amazing, like how you doing this. I'm like, how do you fit it all in? Like,
I'm quite passionate about it. When you have passion in something, then you can fit anything in. And that's what kind of drives me when, seeing young talent, you're giving them the space, giving them the opportunity, which they wouldn't have. When would they have gone to Lords? Maybe when they're playing for England, right? And they went to Lords, had a great day, and now we're doing a series of events which are going to be football, we're going to do music, and we're going to do boxing, and we're just planning those now. So we're going to celebrate each individual spaces, celebrate young talent in each of those spaces, and next year we've got quite a few that we're going to try to push out. And let's just celebrate this talent.
Guys, I'm sure you agree. This is fantastic work that Tandy's been working on with other parents as well, and other kids who just talented across the board, and they're bringing them together. Please get following. We're going to have the links in the descriptions. Get them following on Instagram. There's a few different brands we've talked about: Youngblood, Rocket Sonic, and even Tandy himself, in case you wanted some help in the space in, how to maybe navigate your kids into the space, maybe how you as a parent can help them, because there's definitely a lot more we need to do as parents and to help that next generation. And it's the beauty is that there's no real restriction. You're trying to help each other, right?
Yeah.
And that's
it is about helping each other. And New Young Blood is about helping each other, And I've never been in that space where, why don't I help someone? I've always been that type of person. Wherever I can, in my capacity, what I can do, I will help. And this is what we do, especially coming from a Punjabi Sikh background. This is
Seva is important.
Seva is important. And this is my Seva. And the biggest reward in life is to give back.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you have in life.
Some of the biggest speakers and entrepreneurs that I've seen online have always talked about actually giving back. They say, if you want to do something big, and even if you want to make money, it's helping people.
Yeah.
Yep. If you can help people with their dreams and achieve their dreams, you would feel so successful in yourself.
Yep.
And effectively, as a byproduct, become successful. So, Tandy, tell us, we've gone through some of the journey of Rocket Sonic, but what specifically is Rocket Sonic?
So Rocket Sonic is a clothing and lifestyle brand. And we basically building a brand, selling T-shirts, hoodies, we do beanies, caps and bottoms. And it's just kind of it's a clothing brand. And and it's been an interesting journey for the boys. Growing their brand.
During this whole process of creating Rocket Sonic and also New Youngblood, sorry. What's one lesson that they've taught you in this process? Because you're teaching them so much about branding, presentation, design. But what have you learned from them?
Both of them are different, being twins.
Because they're not identical, right?
They're not identical, but one of my sons, he loves being creative. I'll give him some ideas and he'll just, Dad, I'll create them for you. And obviously with technology now, with AI and stuff, he'll just get on it. Photoshop and things like that. He was learning at 8, 9 years old.
Wow.
And he's got such a creative mind, and he'll just get up and go and do it. Where my other son, Rylan, he's more laid back. He's more of a thinker. He likes to think his ideas through. And what I've learned from both of them is never give up in anything you do. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. And that's what I try to instill in them. Whatever you think you want to do, just go for it. Just do it.
That's amazing.
Don't hold yourself back and think, I can't do it. And just believe in yourself. And that's what I try to teach them. Just believe in yourself. And that's what I had to learn, right? Believing in myself in terms of what I pursued in my career. And this is what I want them to believe, and never give up on anything. Whether it's football, whether it's, Rocket Sonic or anything, whatever you do in life.
I think it's great advice. So anyone watching, like for your kids as well, and if you're a young teen or a young child watching and want to follow your dreams, like Tandy's saying it himself, like you should and you can. A word of advice to parents, though, because I saw a video which I shared on my Instagram story of Gary Vee. Do you know who Gary Vee?
Yeah,
You must know
yeah,
Gary Vee's in the marketing space. And he said that self-doubt hasn't come from you. It's come from someone else.
Yeah.
Likely our parents or guardians.
Yeah.
So parents, like, if you have children and you want them to do well, please try and instill some confidence in them, and like reassure them as well. Because I, as a dad myself, I find that I try and reassure my child. I almost don't have to now. He's probably overconfident at this stage and running the house. But it is something that we should be careful of, because we end up sending that sort of generational trauma down.
Yeah,
and it's like, unless we deal with it. So we should try and deal with it, learn from it, and change that so that we can instill that in our kids if we want them to be successful, which I'm sure every parent would, right? Like, what parent wouldn't want their child to be successful and helping other people? And that success just doesn't mean like selfish and money orientated. It means actually helping other people maybe achieve their dreams, doing good work, collaborating, joining communities together. Like, we're seeing a lot of division right now. There's this whole divide and conquer thing, civil war talk going on.
Yeah.
And it's like such a shame. Like, as a humanity, as a race, we can achieve so much together. Whether there's other powers trying to not do that, we can, as individuals, come together.
Yeah, I agree. And just going back and collaborating. Funny you should say that. My son came home during the summer. Was it summer? Just before he broke up Christmas. He said, "Oh, Dad, there's I found out one of my friends is a really good photographer. Can we get him to one of the events?" I said, "Yeah, he can come along, take a load of pictures, create his portfolio." He's only 13 years old.
Wow.
Right? And he said, "Can we help him?" I said, "Yeah, we can help him." Okay, next time, can he take some pictures for the event? I said, "Yeah, why not?" Right? That's what I want them to think going forward, that, just if someone's come to help you, just help them. And there's been quite a few occasions where he's come home and people have said, "How's your brand? I'd like to learn a lot more about how you did it." And I thought, "Yeah, just teach them how you did it." And I think we just need to express or share that knowledge and experience as well. And I don't think we do that enough. We try to keep it all to ourselves and gatekeep and stuff like that.
Why is that?
They don't want to see anybody doing better, right? I guess that, if you've seen somebody who's doing well and say, "Okay, I just want to, I just want that him or her, my son or daughter, to do well. I don't really want to help anybody else." But, for us to really be where we want to be, if our aspirations are to become, successful in mainstream, we do need to collaborate and help each other. So we see more of, South Asians in music, in football, in cricket, at the top level. So the next generation will think, "You know what, I want to become like XYZ," because there's more of them, right? At the moment, if I wanted to become a footballer, there's not many out there. I know there are a few out there now. Go back 20 years ago, there wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But we want to see more. So hopefully, the next generation will see an influx of South Asians in football, cricket, a lot more, and then think, "You know what, I do want to become a footballer."
Yeah, they can have a sort of better role models in the spaces.
Better role model, right? Yeah. And, when we set up New Young Blood, one parent actually said to me that if it was, my son who wears a patka, he's just started football, and she said, if it wasn't for the platform, he would have thought that he was the only one. And he saw a young patka boy on the platform playing football and thought, "Oh, wow, there is more of us."
Yeah.
Right? And I thought, that's a beautiful story.
That's an amazing story.
There is somebody that with a patka who's playing football, I want to become like him.
Like, why do you think our parents' generation didn't do that? I know they came here, like, from a different country, to try and settle down, try and earn money, try and educate the kids, try and, like, provide and security and, like, shelter. Like, I mean, that probably is the answer.
That was the answer. That's the 100% the answer. you know. But now things are slowly changing. A lot of the parents that, you know, I'm working with on New Young Blood, you know, a lot of their sons and daughters have got, you know, big dreams to go into industries which are, you know, other than the norm.
The standard, yeah.
And hopefully, you know, they go on and fulfilling those dreams and not look back and think, you know, I've gone into an industry which I don't really like, and think back 20 years later and thought, you know that dream I had to become a footballer, you know, I should have continued. And that's what I say to my boys: follow your dreams in something that you're going to enjoy for the rest of your life. Because I'm sure there's so many people out there who are doing things that they don't enjoy. Maybe they were talented in something and they couldn't pursue it because they didn't get sponsored, or they didn't have a door open for them, or there weren't the right opportunities for them.
I didn't do 6 months free in an agency.
Yeah, 6 months free in an agency.
No way I missed out. So Tandy, like, this amazing things that you're doing, I'm hearing. I'm so inspired by your sons, listening to you talk about them and what you've helped them achieve. And I think there's a big credit to you. Like, I know you're like being really humble and you kind of like just saying you guided them, but I think massive, massive props to you and your family around your kids, raising them in that way. What I wanted to ask is how do you feel faith has played part in this whole journey?
Faith has played a huge part, you know, in coming from a Sikh background, being a Punjabi. I always believed in God in anything I did in life. It's something that, you know, again, I say to my boys, you know, you can achieve anything if you believe in God, right? That's a huge important for me, you know. My mother's very spiritual, my wife very spiritual, my mum does a lot of seva as well, and it is about giving back, right? That's my way of giving back in the work that I'm doing with my knowledge and experience, and being of Sikh faith. And this is what we do as a community, and we do give back, right?
Giving is so important.
And giving is so important. And I know we touched on it before.
And not thinking about ourselves.
And not thinking about ourselves, and thinking, you know, and thinking, you know.
I'll rephrase that: not thinking about ourselves too much and being in like this kind of like overthinking state. Actually, obviously, we should think about ourselves, but you've got like such a unique skill that I would have loved to have had, like, you know, 10, 20 years ago, and you're now sharing it with the next generation. I think it's fantastic, and I can't wait for my son to meet your sons and be influenced and inspired by them. Anytime. And I think just going back to your parents as well, so like you said, your mum goes to the Gurdwara, probably seen her like regularly,
100%,
doing Gurul, like, which is fantastic, and that also rubs off with the family, and that's probably allowed her and your dad as well at the time to be like, okay, you want to do art, you want to do design, carry on doing it. It's all good. We've got your back. Yeah. And like, credit to them to allow them to do that, to then see this sort of whole generation, 2 generations flourish. Yeah. As a result, and then going forward as well.
And they've done that same with my sister and my brother. You know, my sister followed, you know, the art space as well. And I'm sure my niece will do the same. You know?
What did your sister do?
She went textiles.
Okay.
Yeah, so she did textiles, did a degree in textiles at Chelsea School of Art. And then she went on to do an MA. And now she's in kind of doing art therapy at schools.
Wow, art therapy is amazing.
Yeah, so she's been doing that for a while. She's actually did another degree actually recently. So, you know, she's in that space. And my niece, she's just turned 18 and she's very artistic. She's doing film. And I can see my son going into that same space as well. So, you know.
Well, amazing. What do they do in film? What's she doing in film?
She's doing film directing, script writing. And she actually did a mini shoot actually just before the summer. So she did at my parents' house. She had a crew there, script writer, and, you know, she's learning how to direct and stuff.
It sounds a bit like Sophia, doesn't it, Chloe?
Yeah, and she enjoys that, and it looks like she's going to go into that space now. So.
We're going to have to connect people here. Like, I work in film and TV as well, so if anything we can help with in that space, so for sure. Working on a big production at the moment, which is going to wrap in a month or two. But, and also, I'm excited. Yeah. I'm really excited because I feel one reason why I started this podcast is primarily also to share amazing people like you doing amazing work where we can actually progress collectively as not just like one community, as collective communities in the spaces here that we have, and especially sort of some of the divide that we're seeing. Yeah. And to build upon like the hard work our parents did actually to come here, survive, shelter, educate us, and then, you know, make us educated so we can then sort of learn and succeed. And then for the next generation to sort of flourish. I think, yeah, like I think it's amazing, and like just kind of want to be in this space now and try and help other people. And it's such an amazing network that we can potentially build and grow going forward.
Yeah.
For the next generation.
No, I agree.
So, Tandy, the activist, you were involved closely actually with the Zara Alina campaign, which was a tragedy within our hometown, where unfortunately Zara was murdered during the evening, I think, on her way home.
Yeah.
And which our love to all the family who had to go through such a traumatic time. You became the light in that moment because you've been managing the IG account, and you've been managing some vigils. Can you talk to us a bit more?
Yeah, so Zara was a family friend of ours, and it's kind of supporting and keeping her memory alive. The last 3-4 years, actually, we had our 3rd year anniversary this summer. We have a silent vigil every year, and we celebrate her life, supporting Farah, who is Zara's aunt. It's been something that we've been kind of me helping from a support point of view, which has been so important for me and the family. We actually were together a few days ago. Actually, we were supporting women in social housing, and just trying to spread the awareness of violence against women and girls. It's so important to spread that awareness, I think.
Absolutely. And like, how did that experience change your understanding of purpose? Because it's such a tense time, like so traumatic.
Yeah, I think it changes when it's so close to home and you know the person.
Because you knew them for like 20 years as family friends.
We're family friends. And when things like that happen, then that purpose becomes even more amplified, right? When you actually know the person. You hear about these cases and obviously you're not too close to it, but being so close to it, and again, it goes back to her supporting and helping, the family. As much as the work that I'm doing from, my sons, which is another space, the work that I'm doing with New Young Blood, Zara's, is totally different, but also supporting, right?
Yeah.
Supporting the family, wherever I can raise awareness, wherever I can support the Instagram account, wherever I can support on the vigil, which happens every year. It is about supporting each other wherever, we can.
What does it mean to you to have that sort of connection and to do these kind of sort of the help that you're providing people and support, not just your children and the younger generation, but like people of like, different communities? Like,
I think when you get to a certain age in your career, right, I think your career is always going to be there, but I want to go now using my experience to be able to use it in spaces where I want to make a difference, and hopefully the places that I am involved in is making a difference, how big or small you may feel it is. And that's the difference I want to make. And it goes back to, doing things in the right spaces. Sometimes you can do things in the wrong spaces, but the spaces that I want to do things and use my knowledge and experiences in spaces that will support the next generation, support my boys in terms of their journey, in terms of supporting them in whatever they do, not only what they're doing at the moment, and also Zara as well, supporting, domestic violence as well in that space as well, and support that cause as well, which is very close to me, right? So yeah, that's, and it's more about purpose as well.
And like behind every great man is a great woman. So how's your wife played a part in
Yeah, she's very supportive. She just lets me get on with what I'm doing. And yeah, she sees a lot of this, Recently, it's been quite interesting because I've got more involved, especially on the New Young Blood side of things. But yeah, very supportive throughout my career. We've been together 28 years, and yeah, she's always been there. Yeah.
Did you guys meet through family, or was it through sort of
just friends? Yeah, just through friends. And yeah, she's I enjoy what I do. If I didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't do things, But yeah, very supportive in terms of what I do.
Yeah, it must be, because to sort of have the dynamics that you do in raising the boys and the way that you are, like, it's you gotta have a good woman behind you and together, right?
She's she's just in the background and seeing things, and she kind of just sees the things that are happening, and just kind of very supportive.
How does she feel about it though? Seeing like your sons win awards, her husband win awards.
She's been coming actually. Normally she's not very social. Like she's not very on the social space, like all the platforms and stuff. So you don't, apart from seeing the places where we go and stuff that I'm going with. Yeah, she's not very Instagram savvy, or doesn't know how to use any of those.
That's probably
tools.
a good thing to be honest.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, she's just in the background supporting. That's all we need, right? Just to support and
doing amazing work by the sounds
acknowledge, the work that we're trying to do together with the boys, and giving them the right foundation, going forward.
Shout out to Mrs. Virdee out there, like amazing work. But what's like the hardest truth that you've learned about yourself? And it could be through anything, through marriage, through fatherhood, through...
Hardest truth is never give up on your dreams. Whatever you end up doing in life or you want to do in life, just don't give up. I just tell my sons that. Just don't give up in whatever you want to do. And one word that my son sometimes uses is, "Dad, I can't do this." I said, "There's no such word in my vocabulary. I can't do this. You can do it. It doesn't matter. And once you've done it, you'll say, you know what, that was easy. That was really easy." And that's the mentality I've had all in my life. I've kind of thought, I can't do that. But when you've done it, you think, well, that was easy. Why did I and ah for like months and months thinking I can't do it? Working with, the biggest advertising agencies in the world. I always dreamt of doing that, and I've been lucky to do it. Again, these are all the stuff that I try to share with my boys and think, I didn't have anybody telling me this, right, when I was young. If you want to go and work for, one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world, I didn't have anybody telling me that. I had to do it all myself. I had to open all my own doors. So, whatever I can do, not only for them, but even one or two other amazing young talent, that's hopefully that will help them to become successful in whatever they do.
It's really interesting because you had to open your own doors, and using that positive mental attitude.
Yeah.
Language and self-talk is so important.
It is so.
When you said about when you say I can't do it, you're telling yourself you can't do it, so you automatically won't be able to do it.
Correct.
Whereas if you start saying I can do it, it will almost trigger something in your brain to be like, actually, yeah, maybe I can.
Yeah.
And just keep telling yourself that. This is I've been trying to tell my wife as well. She's like, I can't do this. You can't do this. And I'm like, you can do it. Start telling yourself you can, then you will be able to.
When I came out of art college, I thought, I need to get some experience. And again, somebody opened the door for me. Right. And then even when I left art college, had my first job, in between, working backwards and forwards, I thought, I want to do art covered, CD designs. And I thought, I want to do Punjabi music. Where can I go and do that? So I used to look around, some of the bands that were playing at that time. And there was one person who gave me a chance, and I have to, he ended up being a friend of mine, and we've worked together for quite a few albums. Kuljit Bumrah, MBE.
Oh wow!
He gave me a chance, and this is what I'm saying. He gave me a chance when I came out of art college. Wanted to work in, doing CD design covers. Went to his studio and said, "Here you go. Here's a cover. I'd love you to work on it." And 34 or 5 years later, we've been working together throughout the years. Last year was working on 2 covers for him as well. So,
So you've done his album art?
So, yeah, worked on his album, worked with Sangeeta, an amazing female artist who broke through a male-dominant industry. Rest in peace. Did about 2-3 albums for her. I did a CD cover design for Bargee on the Beach. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so, this goes back to somebody opening the door for me, and huge respect to him. Wow. Owe him to this day for giving me that chance.
That's beautiful. It can just show just one person giving you a chance can go such a long way.
And, to this day, he still gives young musicians a chance on his albums. youngsters who want experience.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what, you know, hopefully we have a lot more people doing that.
Can people see your art, these artwork, album artworks that you've done? Anyway?
Yeah, I don't really share that much. They're on the website. They're on, a few are on my Instagram. Again, you know, a lot of my stuff I've never really.
You need to, Tandy.
I don't, you know, it's. I've always just said, you know, my work's there. You know, I think it's been more of somebody like you're in that same space, right? You know, you wanted to go into that space. And when we spoke about what you did, you told me what you did. You know, when people in that same space, you have a much more richer conversation.
Yeah, there's appreciation for
the
work, the talent, the craftsmanship.
But a lot of the time, when I'm talking about my space, they're not in that space. So they wouldn't really understand. Oh, I've just done a billboard for X. Oh, I've just worked on this social media campaign for X. And think, oh, what's that? You know, what is it? But now more and more people are understanding the social media aspect. You know, doing TikTok campaigns, Instagram campaigns, you know, they're understanding that space much more.
Yeah, the digital.
But 20 years ago, you know, apart from people understanding, oh, do you just design logos?
Yeah.
Right? Or a leaflet, you know.
And they pay no, like, respect to you almost, isn't it? There's like, no, like, oh, you just did a logo. It's a 2-minute drawing. It's like,
there you
there's
go,
so much.
Right? Oh, what was it back then? Coral Draw?
Yeah, oh my God, going back.
Yeah, we're going back. Coral Draw. This is just before the Apple Mac came into play. Coral Draw, quickly get a few shapes. There you go. There's your logo.
Yeah.
So unless you're in that space, you know, you'll get much more appreciation in the work that you do. So really, over the years, I've never been in that. Apart from the teams that I've worked with, outside of that, I've not been in a space where I can actually relate to anybody, meet people, and they're thinking, oh, Teddy, I'm in that space. What have you worked on? I've worked on this. I've worked on this. So I've really not had those conversations. So I'm not really needed to share. Apart from my portfolio, which I used to carry around, or my website. Yeah. My work is there. If you want to look at my work is there. So
yeah, we're going to share the links below because I think Tandy's got some amazing work. I can't wait to see a lot of the work as well. Like, I think, like, being originally a designer or someone in art, like, you appreciate the creativity so much when it comes to design, and then seeing like that proud moment of your work being out there. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, like, because you've had billboards and like massive campaigns across the globe being out there, like part of your work showcased. Has there been a particular campaign or brand that you've worked with that's really stood out?
I think the one that stood out, I would say, working with a team on Diageo Lady Leisure responsible drinking campaign, where I ran a project that created a tune which was about responsible drinking, and we shot the video and we did a load of social content, and I think it ended up winning like 5-6 awards. But that was different, you know, Lady Leisure, you know, grime artist, and you're bringing a drinks brand with a grime artist and creating a tune, a song, and you're using a strong message through music. Right, and it was a great campaign. And then I think the Tommy Hilfiger one I mentioned earlier was great, doing a live stream Facebook performance on a new fragrance with James Bay, actually, he's the artist, and we did a Instagram Facebook live actually performance, and that was great. The way, you know, live music on a Facebook, how we had to set all that up, and we did a website, and we did pre-promotional PR for it, and we shot the video, and these campaigns will live in your mind forever, right?
Yeah,
I think that's on my website anyway.
Being in that environment, and I feel like you should do like a little behind the scenes of like a day in the life of Tandy Virdee, you know, like you should do like the little social reels that people do, because people want to know, like I want to know like exactly what is a day in the life of you, like, you know, brand like specialist, you know, managing global campaigns. Yeah. Like I think it'll be so interesting, and it doesn't matter. I think if people that are not interested or not maybe creative don't like, but there are so many that are creative and would value like that, and even those who are maybe not creative, they might see it and they'll be like, whoa, is this what happens? And he's like, you know, I would have thought it was a predominantly maybe a white industry, and like for to be like a brown male come in and like do some amazing work and run global campaigns, I think that's something to be proud of, and like some great work that you've achieved.
No, I enjoy it. There's always different projects that I'm working on, every other day, every week, every month. And that's what I enjoy. I enjoy working in different spaces, and especially now with AI, that's a really interesting space to work in now.
I want to ask you about AI actually.
Yeah.
So one of my sons, like he's probably his best mate's dad, works in like AI and stuff as well. And I wanted to get him on the podcast. Shout out to you, Nimesh. Please come on my podcast. And we were talking. He was like, I've been thinking about what my sons are going to do when they get older with AI.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this topic? And especially where you got kids who are entrepreneurial and they're obviously using AI now themselves at such a young age. What do you see the future holding for them?
Yeah, it's an interesting subject. Funny you should say that. During the summer, I said to my son, we need to create a piece of content. Just a visual, right? I've shot it, but we're going to have to do some retouching and change a few things. And he said, Dad, don't worry, I'll do it for you. So he did it in AI and it's spot on. Yeah. It was spot on, right? It took him, he did about 2-3 versions. And I thought, you know what? It's, it needs to be regulated 100%. But yeah, it's, you look at music now, AI coming into play and you're seeing a lot of, it's going to be interesting how it rolls out in the next few years. Really interesting.
What do you see? Your sons might be a bit different because they're quite business minded and orientated, so they could probably use AI to their advantage.
Yeah. Kind of chat GPT and stuff like that. And
what do you think like the future holds of those who like, with the AI space coming in, like what do you think the sort of next 1 to 5 years looks like? Because it'd probably be about, even AI is quite strong now, it's quite prominent. I know Spotify have filled out a load of tunes that AI generated, so there's some sort of, not regulation, but there's obviously some sort of filtration going on, which is good as well.
Yeah.
Because, but what's your thoughts on the space?
Well, being in this space, I being in the creative space and having worked on a few pieces using AI,
for brands, for like already it's going up.
And I just, it's fascinating to see from the traditional work that we would have done previously, if we're doing a storyboard, right, for a commercial or storyboard for a campaign or something, and now using AI to bring it to life. It reduces time, it reduces effort in terms of talent that you may need for a production shoot. That's where it gets a little bit, scary, that, budgets will start getting smaller and smaller because the work is going to get easier and easier to do, right?
So do you think then people will be losing jobs as a result of it because you're getting efficiency?
Yeah, potentially.
Spend is going, it's quicker and cheaper.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
It's interesting. Maybe we do another podcast on this topic.
Dive
deeper into it.
That's a whole new topic to pick on, right? AI. We've pitched on work using AI where, things would have taken us, a day to get a studio, get the talent, get the production team to do just for a pitch. Now you're using AI, 24 hours, here you go.
What do you use? What sort of just kind of?
It depends. We've got places where I am, they've got their own AI tools now as well.
Really?
Developed. Yeah.
I feel like you should meet Nimesh. Like, I feel like you might know him. Because I'm sure he's worked with Diageo as well.
So, a lot of companies are using their own, licensing their own and stuff. It's interesting space, very interesting. Especially now, I say to the boys, I said, you need to learn AI.
Yeah, that's it. If you don't learn it now, you're going to be left behind, isn't it?
Yeah, so you need to learn it, AI now.
So legacy, like there's so many, Tandy, like you've gone through some amazing like things and topics today, like conversation's been great. And I'd love to get you in again in the next sort of maybe next year at some point to discuss sort of like the accolades and the more awards that you've won, the more projects, how you young blood is going, how Rocket Sonic's going. Would you be willing to come back to share?
I'll bring the boys down.
Bring the boys, that'd be amazing. We've got a little
you can interview
sofa
them.
there.
They can share their journey.
So when your like sons are like grown and leading their own teams, and it won't be long till they're doing podcasts. Well, they're already doing podcasts, right? But when they're leading their own teams, which you're probably already kind of doing now, what sort of example do you hope they would carry forward that they've learned from you?
Hopefully they'll do the same too. Obviously if they end up having kids, right? And say, my dad helped us do this, or we went to these places where, I'd say to them, sometimes, actually, story about the summer, because they had so many events in the summer, they said, Dad, we need a break now.
Yeah.
All right. And I said, okay, you'll have
Working
a
them
break.
too hard, Tandy.
Yeah, they said, we're gonna have a break now.
Yeah, let's go on holiday.
Yeah, they turned around and said, Dad, I think we're gonna have a break now, right? Not me telling them it was like, we're gonna have a break now. I said, yeah, that's fine. And then we're actually at awards last week, and then they said, is this the last one? I said, yeah, we'll have a break for a little while now. So, hopefully they've learned a lot from what we've been doing together, and hopefully they'll go on and do bigger things and enjoy what they're doing. And hopefully they'll take that on, when they end up having kids and stuff, and they can say, you know what, we did all this stuff with my dad. And maybe then they may appreciate it much more, and think, you know what, we were lucky, so lucky to have my dad around us, and do all these things, go to these places where, again, not a lot of young kids will be able to go, right? Unless, you was doing something that was inspiring.
Kids, let me tell you now, you are very, very lucky. So you got an amazing dad who's doing stuff that I wish I had my dad doing, to be honest.
Same. But, it is from that, right? I wish my dad could be doing a lot of this stuff, but obviously he was setting everything up for us to do what we're doing now.
Yeah, and shout out to our dads, actually.
Yeah,
who did all the
parents. If it weren't for our parents, grandparents, me and you wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah. And so talking about like legacy, and like we've had obviously our grandparents leave us an amazing, like chance and opportunity to kind of, work and become entrepreneurs and just have the space to do the things that we want. What do you want your legacy to be? Not in awards, but in people. Like, what would you?
I just like it to be that, I used all my knowledge and experience to give back. And that's the biggest reward. That it doesn't matter if you've got awards, whatever you have, materialistic things, but just giving back is the biggest reward you're going to get in life.
Wow.
That without, that's what I would say.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I know we're not talking about awards, but actually what awards have you won, just for the audience?
For Rocket Sonic? I'll give you Rocket Sonic. Oh, yeah. Rocket Sonic. So the boys won 3 weeks ago, Young Entrepreneurs of the Year at the Local Hero Awards. Shout out to Local Hero Awards for supporting them continuously. Last year they won it, first time round, Local Hero Awards.
So they won it 2 years in a row now.
Won it 2 years in a row. They've won Theo Pathita's Small Business Award.
Wow.
They're brand ambassadors for Kidpreneur Africa in entrepreneurship. Well, I can rattle more. But yeah, they've Local Business Awards. They've won Best Fashion of the Year.
That's amazing.
They're up for Best Fashion of the Year this year as well. They're up for Social Value Award for New Young Blood this year.
Guys, we're going to leave a list down below.
Yeah, so you know what?
There's some amazing cool awards that I've seen. I'm like, wow.
They've kind of, enjoyed that journey with me. For them to just kind of experience it. And
have you got a favourite award that you've won? Like for yourself, for the work that you've done? Like, is there one that you're just proud of? You're like,
yeah, and then I think this year being nominated for Inspirational Person of the Year at the MBCC Awards, which is actually at the end of this month, which I'm quite proud of. Again, awards are there, but, it's more about sharing, inspiring the experience. Earlier this year was Role Model of the Year finalist. So, again, it's about sharing the experience and knowledge. They say now awards, it's not all about awards and that, but sometimes if I have a story to tell and I'm inspiring, then that's the story I want to tell. That's the most important thing for me.
Well, Tandy, let me tell you one thing. Like, I'm super grateful and glad that you've come onto my podcast, because you've shared some amazing gems, and just like your journey is amazing. The work that you're doing with your sons, with the younger generations, across communities, and the amazing work you've done yourself on like global campaigns and the creative stuff that you've been working on throughout your 30-year journey. I think it's commendable, and I'd like congratulate you from me, like listening to it. Like, I wish I was doing that. And I think well done. And thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And I just hope long may it continue. And if there's anything you ever need, like, please feel free to reach out. Hopefully we're creating a bit of a community with this podcast. Yes. Feel free to reach out to them and come back to us in maybe in the new year and see how you're getting on, and share your journey on more topics that we can cover.
Yeah, no, amazing work you're doing as well. you know, and the work you're doing as you're building your own career, right? You've been doing a lot of great stuff as well. And I love what you're doing as well, sharing stories, you know, and well done.
Thank
Really
you.
well done. A pleasure being here, honestly.
Oh, no,
It was always good to meet.
pleasure's all mine. Seriously, like this, it's been phenomenal. I'm sure Chloe in the back
No,
picked up
both of you.
some cool stuff.
Yeah, well done to both of you, man. Yeah, I'd just like to say a big thank you to everybody who's been supporting my boys, Rocket Sonic, and a huge thank you to everybody's that really supported New Young Blood in the last 18 months. You know, without the talent, the parents, there wouldn't be a platform for New Young Blood. But, you know, it's been incredible journey, you know, amazing messages, people from industry that have supported the platform, and a massive shout out to Simi, who's been absolutely amazing supporting the platform from the minute that, you know, we spoke about the platform in terms of what my thoughts were on. She's been the #1 champion in actually sharing all her knowledge, you know, and really championing the platform. And then, you know, some of the other parents have also really helped the platform grow and supported the parents, because not only do they want their son or daughter, who obviously have been showcased on the platform, but they want to see other children, kids, talent do well as well. So a massive shout out to Vinay, who hosted with his son Rohan our Lords event. Massive shout out to Gaminda, who's her daughter. Gia's an amazing young actress, award-winning actress. And also Artie, whose daughter's running an amazing award-winning lip care brand at 10 years old. You know, that's become the senior parent team who've really been championing. And, you know, we did the launch event. If it wasn't for them, you know, really supporting it. And this is what it's about. Community coming together and helping each other. And, you know, they've been great. And we've got some amazing stuff lined up next year. I'm really excited to see you there. I see you both there, right?
Would love to come and
you know,
see what's going on.
We'll probably share some of that next year. Maybe one this year and share when that's happening next year. But yeah, let's all come together, celebrate and share stories and amazing work you're doing, you guys. Love it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and all the thank yous as well. It's important to be grateful for all those who do help us kind of live the dream as well. So thank you so much again, Tandy. An absolute pleasure. And thank you to all the people involved with the Tandy projects, the Rocket Sonic, with New Young Blood, and also your sons as well, who've done great work. I can't wait to meet them one day. I'd love to bring a camera and then we can kind of view some of the stuff that you're doing, maybe showcase it like in person. And look forward to it. Brilliant. But thank you so much, Tandy.
No, thank you. Honestly,
we'll see you again soon, guys. Subscribe, and turn on all bell notifications, and we'll see you on the next one. Listening to Tandy speak today, I was reminded that legacy isn't measured in wealth or followers or awards. It's measured in people, in those who rise because we believed in them. Tandy's journey has shown us the most powerful kind of success isn't one that celebrates you. It's the one that creates them through Rocket Sonic, through New Young Blood, and through his sons. He's created a belief, an inheritance. He's proving that creativity can be inheritance and belief can be a business plan. And maybe that's what true leadership really is, not control. I've been Harinder Malay, and this has been the Live the Dream podcast. See you on the next one.